Am I the a-hole for refusing when my friend wanted to join my fiance and I on our first trip together? I 22F and my fiance 23M are going on our first trip together. I'm really excited as this is my first time on a plane, and even leaving the state I've lived in my whole life. We've been planning for this trip since earlier this year, and we've gotten our tickets as well as accommodations. Altogether, we've already spent about $4,500 on everything, which has been something we've been saving for as we're both college students. Our trip is in about a month, and in comes my friend, we'll call her Ashley 22F, who's been my friend for about a year. She brought up going to Japan as well, kind of jokingly, when we told her about the trip. I didn't think she was serious, but then she brought it up a few more times, even saying that she had a family member she could stay with. She asked if she could spend some time during the days joining us on our adventures while this family member was at work. I was supportive of this idea, as I know this would be her first time to Japan as well, and I care about her. However, all of a sudden, she told me she wanted to get the tickets, but her family member no longer would have space for her to stay. She wants to know if she can stay in our accommodations and join us on our flight back home. I let her know that our accommodation has strict rules against having more than 2 people, and there's only 1 small bed in this studio. She said she'd be fine sleeping anywhere on the floor or couch, etc. I told her that I'd feel more comfortable if we didn't chance a feat or getting in trouble in general, as I really just want a comfortable stay. I told her that we're still willing to spend time with her during the day, and I began sending her accommodations in her budget. I was hoping this would be enough. Instead, she's just asking if we can cancel our accommodations and pay for larger accommodations that can have a bed for her as well. Mind you, she's not saying she will help us pay for the more expensive accommodation or anything else for that matter. She simply just wants to stay with us and for us to pay for a different accommodation. It seems like no matter what I say, she just keeps trying to manipulate me into letting her stay with us. This is also hard cause I know my fiance and I really wanted this to be a romantic trip for us both, as we likely won't be able to afford another for a few years as we finish school. I'm just stuck on what to say or do, and if I'm the asshole here. Should I be okay with my friend staying in our accommodation and joining in on our trip? Update/note, as I'm reading the comments, there's a lot saying that I should be upfront about it being a romantic trip. When I first told her about the trip, I did tell her this is basically going to be our honeymoon. I may have said it jokingly to her, but I did mean it. My fiance and I have been talking about going to Japan since we got together 8 years ago. I thought this honeymoon comment as well as me bringing up activities like making our anniversary cake at a shop in Kyoto clearly set the tone in which I planned this trip to be. I do agree that I should clarify that this is a romantic trip, but I feel uneasy that she'd receive this well, as she shut down all my logical reasons. I was hesitant when she brought up spending some time with us, but I thought maybe it was just something nice to do. I get that's a romantic trip, but my fiance was fine with it and supported her coming along on some of the more normal things like going to Universal, since it was only going to be a few days of our trip, like 4 out of the 30+ days we'll be there, that she'd want to be with us. She originally said she'd only be in Japan a week, and she'd only need to be with us while her family members at work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.-ish. But now, things have changed, and she's saying it could be longer. I do have trouble with boundaries, and I always want to be the one helping people out when I can, which doesn't seem to work out for me, but I'm working on it. But, as she has been pushing for the last few hours no matter what I say, I've been getting more upset. I just didn't know if I was being selfish towards a friend in need. Now, I can definitely see that this was probably the plan all along, and she isn't in a tight spot. She just wants to use us. This realization does hurt as I thought we had gotten really close in our shared major, but I guess she really doesn't care about my feelings like I care about hers cause ultimately I just didn't want to hurt her. She recently got dropped out of our major, so I thought she was just really sad and needed a pick-me-up. Update. 2 days later. I ended up refusing for the 10th time but told her no bluntly and as clearly as possible. As you guys have said, no was a sentence used. I also made sure to say that I wasn't down with changing anything and that I want to spend time with only my fiance. That I've been trying to nicely say no, but I don't appreciate getting manipulated nor having my partner's and I's feelings ignored. She said, "We've been talking about this trip for so long. Why didn't we just work it out earlier? It's not my fault that this is last minute. Why won't you just do this one? It's not much different, but there's an extra bed," and sent me a link to a specific accommodation. Where the 2 beds are side by side. Just by the way, I'm weirded out. She basically ignored what I said, so I have ignored her since. We're in the same friend group, so I think it's probably going to get weird. But honestly, I'm okay with that. Regardless of how that goes, my fiance and I will be going alone and not meeting up her or anyone anywhere during our trip. I'm going to work on the saying no thing and setting harder boundaries. I just had an abusive upbringing and I'm still working on it all. I keep needing to remind myself that I'm not in that place anymore.